Hey guys, Tyler here. We're now good news. Audio Archive's on, and they're doing something that we've been waiting for forever. Episode 255, Weather Warnings, Part 3, or Volume 3. Now, we've been waiting for this for a while now. He put it on, so we're going to watch it right now. I have not seen this yet. It came out like 20 minutes ago, so we're going to get to this video. It's not Hell of a Boss, so I don't have to well, you know me, so it's not Hell of a Boss. If it was Hell of a Boss, then it would be live. But since it's not Hell of a Boss, it doesn't have to be live. So, here we go. And we might be watching something else I like to the show too, so here we go. Already 148 people have seen this, so reaction video time. Let's nerd. I wish I had the equipment he did. I wish I had to do that. I wish I had a bar on top of my screen, but all I get is the bottom from StreamYard. But still, Weather Warnings Part 3, yippee! So you see what we get. See what countries we get this time. Winter edition. Well, I got snow here in Michigan, so yeah, makes sense. So Part 3, Winter edition. Yeah, it'd be cool to use my weather stuff.
And welcome to the Oddity Archive.
He's been on here a while, Ben.
The show that
He hasn't been on for a while. He's been gone for a couple weeks.
A total snow job.
By the time this recording comes out, he's been off. He came back on for a few days ago.
Yeah. Anyway,
Did a little break
today
off.
marks our third proper round of weather warning type stuff. But the twist this time, in case you haven't gotten all the hints yet, is that it's going to be all winter weather this time around.
Snowing outside right now as it's recording.
The impetus behind this episode was reality. This year so far has not been a good one in archive land. So just a day or two after New Year's, I was starting to fish around for the would-be next archive topic, and the snow just started dumping outside. And
He lives in Dakota.
This rabbit hole.
We live in Michigan. He lives in Dakota, so he gets
by the time all
like
was
we
said
do.
and done with that little system, we had about 1.5 foot of snow on the ground.
2, 3
But,
here.
You know, that's not inherently
Christmas.
horrible, but it came over the span of a rather Chinese water torture-esque 2.5 days. Basically, this meant
Here
that it was
too.
consistently coming down just enough that if you got out onto the road at all, you were probably going to get stuck or slide into a tree or something.
Yeah, 4x4 for this
And
stuff.
if you were like me and stayed home throughout the whole thing, Mother Nature decided to play a few pranks on you. So the recurring one being that the snow would stop, the sky would kind of start to lighten outside, and you check the radar on the internet, on the local TV station, and okay, that's not too bad, better get my coat and stuff on and start digging out. Then you step outside and Mother Nature turns the snow back on.
Yeah.
Harder than before. And I guess you could say the final insult to this whole thing was we managed to somehow just miss blizzard status.
We got blizzards
So,
here.
here in the States, the legal threshold, if you will, for a blizzard is that the wind has to be consistently blowing at least 35 miles an hour. And
Try
that
60
means
here.
Snow of some sort.
For
involved
Christmas, it was
as
like
well.
60 degrees outside.
Well, the winds were consistently blowing at 25 to 30 miles an hour the whole time. So anyway, being the Oddity Archive guy and being kind of stuck inside for a lot of this, I went and dutifully recorded a lot of local news and stuff, kind of
Same.
hoping for the EAS to go off, and it never did happen.
Yeah, I
but
know.
I did get some fairly alternately
Same.
informative and amusing local news footage.
Same,
And
Ben.
that makes up our first montage today.
I did that too.
Right now, Interstate 90 is closed from Chamberlain to Sioux Falls. Interstate
KEL.
29 is closed from Sioux Falls to Brooklyn.
KELO.
They're expected to remain closed throughout the day. The roads are so dangerous in Minnehaha County this midday that
Minnehaha
the
County?
has pulled plows from the roads. Even in city limits, drivers are struggling to get around. Many cars are getting
Sioux
stuck in their
Falls.
driveways. Others are getting stuck on city streets, and it's not just side streets. Our news crews have spotted multiple cars stuck on some of the city's busiest roadways.
That's why you guys use vans.
The darker blue that we have, and they're filling in again near Larchwood to the northwest to include Sioux Falls, much of southwestern Minnesota, also looking at that to fill in.
When we were out there, the snow was coming down so heavy that our windshield wipers couldn't keep up. And I know some of the plow drivers here in town had the same problem.
Sure.
This is near the handyman, and
Sure.
we were going downhill. A police officer was out there directing traffic, and we rolled down our window, and he kind of yelled at us. He said, you can go down, but you can't come back up.
And along with school and interstate closures, several businesses are closed, including the Empire Mall.
All the schools
and
around here are
Sioux Falls
closed.
Regional Airport. The city's outdoor ice rinks are also closed, and Sioux Area Metro is not running buses due to the weather.
Workplace injuries can happen to anyone. Sadly, your financial obligations don't end after an accident.
Sidewalks, they're a mess too. Take a look at this video we shot in downtown Sioux Falls this morning. With all the heavy snow and blowing snow, even the snowblower got stuck on the sidewalk again.
There is, and this is a common scene across Kettleland.
Downtown, 24 degrees.
Southeastern South Dakota, Sioux Falls. Cars have been working their way to get out, and this one has been a slow go. I've been following this one since our last weather hit. He looks like he's free, and he's leaving a shovel behind him, too. Do you see that, Dan?
Yeah, can't blame them. And this
I took
is
the shovel
what
with
it
me.
looks like from a DOT cam north of Sioux Falls and I-29. There's an interstate there, we assure you, which, as we mentioned earlier,
DOT
is
cam
closed.
511.
Officials say crews could continue moving and picking up snow for the next 3 to 4 weeks.
I'm going to debate the 12 inches from the National Weather Service. I think we're probably closer to 20.
With the amount of snow that we have,
18
it's
inches.
piling up. We're running out of places to put it.
18 inches
Now,
at headquarters.
and as such, the piles are going to get higher. They're going to be harder to see around. Lanes are going to get narrowed. We're going to go from 4 lanes to 2 lanes to 1 lane.
After a lot of cleanup work, the Sioux Falls Regional
Tell you.
Airport is back open today. The airport posted these pictures on Facebook saying
Wow.
crews worked around the clock to reopen. The first flight arrived about an hour ago. You still need to check with your airline flight schedules. As people wait for businesses and residents to cut a path through the snow, some pedestrians are stepping into the street and sharing space with traffic.
It's important you get your sidewalks shoveled out for pedestrian safety, but additionally, we want services to continue. Your mailman needs to get to where they need to get to. The officers or other first responders need to get there. Kids, I'm assuming school will be open tomorrow. A lot of kids need those sidewalks cleared to get to school.
And still digging out in Sioux Falls. Yeah, probably the mail might be a little delayed in that neighborhood. It's pretty thick out there. Crews are working hard. We'll be back. Any more snow on the way? We'll have details coming up.
And it's snowing again.
Yep.
Lovely.
You stopped here as of
Anyway,
recording.
When I do these weather warnings type episodes, I think the expectation is, and I totally get it, that it becomes just a big
It's taking number
ball,
4.
if you will, of civil defense broadcasting. So emergency alert system, if it's a little older emergency broadcast system, old enough Conelrad. But the thing is, with regards to winter weather, the civil defense stuff didn't really start happening for all intents and purposes until maybe 10 years ago. if
80s,
that.
90s.
So if
Some places
you're
90s.
looking for the dual tone signals and the duck calls and the scary stuff, you're not going to get it here.
I found stuff in the 80s.
But if you're willing to go along for the ride,
Found mid-80s,
I think
stuff in
there's
mid-80s.
Interesting stuff here. Now, having said that, the remainder of today's episode is only going to revolve around 2 particular storms, and pretty famous ones at that. But yeah, I just have so much footage that it's just better to consolidate this one. So let's kick things off with, well, I've got 2 storms, obviously. One from 1967 and one from 1977. So, yeah.
70s is
truly
bad
civil
ones.
defense stuff here.
Don't
But,
ask
let's
for
start with 67 and the Great Chicago Blizzard of the last week of January of 1967.
Oh, I remember hearing about that.
And we're going
You
to
do?
check in with WTAS FM. And actually, that's selling it a bit short. This is the air check is from WTAS, but this is actually a pooled effort with WCGO-AM. Now, WTAS was normally a music station, specifically one of those beautiful music, MOR, middle-of-the-road type stations. But during this storm, they had to go over to being a serious news outlet. And I think they did a solid job here.
Everyone had to
But the fascination of this one to me is, this is 1967, pre-internet, pre-cell phone, and so
Yeah.
it makes sense within the realm of radio if you're trying to operate in the public interest to try and just become one big information outlet.
All radio stations
And
did that.
WTAS effectively became, there's still news and weather reports, but effectively became an audio bulletin board, I guess you could say.
Okay.
There's a lot of people who have lost track of each other trying to reconnect and what's open and what's closed and just what's going on out there. And so, yeah, it's kind of truly hearing things
Community
on
radio.
the community level.
We have those anymore.
News facilities of WCGO and WTAS-FM. Here is the latest South Suburban, regional, national, and international news. Brought to you in part by the Girardi Funeral Home, 2520 Chicago Road in Chicago Heights.
Snow, 23 inches of it, is on the ground in the South Suburban area this afternoon. That was the grand total. As of 9 this morning, it included another 2.8 inches that fell during the early morning hours. Those who must get to their jobs should leave their cars at home, either walk or attempt to take public transportation. At the present, there is no bus transportation in the South Suburban area.
Sister Georgette has told us that presently the hospital is understaffed. Normally during this period of day they would have 35 to 40 doctors. Right now they have about 4 or 5. Chief Leone from the Chicago Heights Fire Department is out in his own vehicle, the fire inspector's vehicle, and another vehicle with a bulldozer in front of it right now. This is the only way that people who are critically ill or critically injured can get to the hospital. This is what he's doing right now.
At Park Forest, roads are not passable. The shopping center is closed. There are no serious injuries reported. Of course, schools are closed in Park Forest. At Dalton, stores, schools, and shops are closed. Thorn Ridge is housing 300 pupils and 12 teachers who have been there since yesterday afternoon. Another 200 persons are being sheltered at the Dalton Bowl, and food is being taken in by Dalton police. Evergreen Park had a fatality from an apparent heart attack when a resident shoveling snow suffered a heart attack. John Ivis, 54 years old, of 2932 West 99th Street in Evergreen Park, was dead on arrival at Little Company of Mary Hospital. And now a sports report. First of all, a reminder that almost all sports activities have been canceled in the South Suburban region. The Rich East Homewood Flossmoor game, originally scheduled for tonight, will be played next Saturday, February 4th. All other sports activities at Crete have been canceled. As you may know by now, the Crete Warrior Dome has collapsed, and so there will be no sports activity at Crete. One of the most preferred new home plans today is called the Raised Ranch, with 2 complete living levels for your family. For the very latest in raised ranches, you want to see the Burnside Sherwood model at Glenwood Manor, 183rd and Halstead. For a Friday night dinner that's delicious and reasonable, take the family to Menace Restaurant in
Well, only if you can get out.
Order Menace Jumbo Shrimp Dinner. Giant shrimp from the Blue Runners of the Gulf, deep fried to a fluffy golden brown and served with French fried potatoes and
noon.
fresh salad. That's just $1.75. Since we've mentioned water, we should tell you this. For safety's sake, it might be wise to take some empty jars or bottles and put water in them and store them in your refrigerator overnight in case pipes freeze or water supplies are damaged. Fire departments suggest you fill your bathtubs with water in case a fire breaks out in your home. In Lansing, some 700 travelers are stranded there. They've been taken well care of, though. Some have been housed at one of the churches, the others at the Lands Theater. They're watching movie films.
Mrs. Franklin Taylor, her husband, has been missing. She still has not received word. Have you heard anything on this yet, Clara?
No word yet.
Still no word yet, okay. Mrs. Franklin Taylor of Beecher, her husband is still missing. Rock Island Railroad, here we are. We received this call earlier. They are looking for men and boys to help them clear the traffic. tracks of ice and snow, the banks, snow banks and drifts tomorrow. The youngster, the boys, must be 16 years of age or over. Steve Miller in Gary, Indiana, still no word on him. His wife had called. He has been missing. And his whereabouts is not known. He resides at 2519 Georgia in Gary. Let's see, I'll tell you what. Claire, if you're set to go with a little more recorded stereo music, I think we'll have that for a few moments, and we'll be back shortly.
They froze in Chicago.
The Chicago blizzard of '67 is also noteworthy in that it's home to some of the earliest known surviving video air check footage of this sort of thing. And I use the air quotes there because this is in-house footage. This is from a kinescope. But there were two stations in Chicago that saw fit to save at least some of this stuff. It would be truly noteworthy if it was an amateur off-air recording, one of those really early open-reel half-inch black and white deals. But I don't think anybody was recording that. So anyway,
like the Xenia thing.
Footage from two stations. I'm only going to run footage from one though. The one I am not going to run is WMAQ, the NBC station in Chicago. There's a few minutes of footage, and it's on YouTube, and I just don't think it's all that interesting. To me, the real interesting stuff comes from the then recently established little indie station, WFLD, Channel 32.
Chicago.
Now, of course, WFLD became one of the first Fox affiliates in the 80s, and nowadays they have a much bigger budget, and everything's real nice and slick with them, but in 1967, it was a shoestring operation. So what you're going to see here is about as homebrew a newscast as you are going to get away with on TV as of 1967, and you would not get away with this at all today. But the only real set there is the anchor desk, and otherwise they're just swinging the camera around to other people or taking live feed from other places. And of course the weather factors in, so it winds up feeling that much more just thrown together, improvised. So I consider this a real fascinating one. And if anything, I'm doing a bit of a disservice with this montage. So if you like what you see, please go hit up our friends over at Fuzzy Memories here on YouTube or fuzzymemories.tv and watch the whole half hour. Consider this just a little appetizer.
Okay. That's kind of neat. Looks like glasses.
Good evening. Welcome to Newscope again. I'm Patrick Muldowney. Well, we're back again after a 1 hour break. We were on the air today for more than 10 hours, bringing you Chicago's information on what was happening in the city and the surrounding area. We used the facilities of the Chicago Daily News and the Chicago Sun-Times, as well as Channel 32's own facilities, and the facility of ham radio station WA9RTP with Jim Roper and Vic Cox at the controls. We'll have a report from them later in Newscope. Tonight on Channel 32, we presented a very unique feature. We did something that has never been done before in broadcasting. We brought to you ham radio reports that have never been broadcast live on a television station before.
South of Denver, and the closed streets are down the Carmen Street, George White Road, Old Orchard Road, and all sides.
Yes, make sure you
Well, it's just about over with. Although it isn't all over completely because, as you just heard, the temperatures are still going down. The Weather Bureau tells me that bitterly cold weather is going to hit Chicago by dawn. They say the temperature is going to go down to about 10 degrees.
Richard Forrest, Sun-Times.
In Springfield today, Governor Kerner met with some officials from the National Guard. He called out all the helicopters and some of their half trucks to come to the Chicago area and see if they can't clear up this monumental mess. The long-distance trains were arriving 2 to 4 hours late today. One of the few
yes.
to get anywhere, I think.
Reading the paper live on television.
The CTA's Rapid Transit. The trains are running pretty much on time. The buses, of course, are quite another matter. Storm's effect on food stores was almost immediate. Local supermarkets reported their shelves were clear of milk, meat, bread, and cigarettes. Their staff couldn't get to work.
Cigarettes.
Today we presented the longest weather report ever run on a Chicago television station. But it wouldn't be complete unless we and gave you a different look at the weather. We'll take a look through the eyes of the Sun-Times and Chicago Daily News cameramen. This is how they saw the super snow in Chicago.
Damn! Is that a Polaroid or... Oh, look at the size of that crane. Those are cars. That belongs on a farm, not... Wow. Big old log thingy with a plow in the front of it.
I don't know where that came from, but that wasn't Chicago today. Well, it's been a long day.
Bikinis.
We're at 12:30, and it is now 5 minutes to 12. We'd like to say thank you. We couldn't have done it without all of you. Thank you. I'm Patrick Muldowney. Good night.
That was cheeky. Local commercial break.
It's the end of the year, so you know what that means?
Carl's New Year's clearance sale is on.
Save up to 55% on floor displays, one-of-a-kind, and scratch and dent major appliances. You get free installation on select dishwashers, save up to 40% on clearance electronics. Outdoor cooking is priced to move. You even get 60 to 80% on select TV stands. It's Carl's New Year's clearance sale on now.
Carl's your servicing dealer since 1956.
Just mess with us.
Oh, wonderful. Let's jump to the next storm here, shall we? Anyway,
No, this time when NASCAR was around on
was
TV.
a true whopper of a storm. So, in Chicago in 1967, they got about 2 feet of snow. With this storm, almost to the day, a decade later, they got over 8 feet over the span of 5 days.
Bless you.
This storm just absolutely slammed both the extreme southeastern peninsula of Ontario and the Buffalo, New York area.
And us.
And so, like the Chicago stuff, I have a nice amount of radio and in-house TV stuff, so we'll just attack this the same way as Chicago.
I'll go check the paper in a little bit.
Stuff, we're going to listen a bit to the late CJRN AM, which was based out of the Canadian side of Niagara Falls, and hence the C first call letters. But the big difference between this and WTAS back in Chicago was that CJRN was already an overall community station. They were mostly news and public affairs sort of stuff, so this wasn't a stretch for them. This wasn't them trying to reinvent themselves. So anyway, what we have here...
Yeah, in the U.S. it's WOK in the U.S. I'm going to pause real quick. I'm going to put these on real quick. Check the post and see if we got any mail today for me. If I don't got any mail, yeah. So I'll be back in one hot minute. I miss trying to get some videos made for the channel. Wait, I work, what, about 6 hours on YouTube a day? If you had a proper job. Yeah, if I had a proper job, who knows? I'm going to check the mailbox. I might lose more people. I think I might lose more people. Where's we at? Oh, for no, this. If Mr. B's actually hired me, that'd be pretty neat.
Whereas Chicago was kind of becoming an audio bulletin board, here it was more like a trading post. So-and-so needs such a part for their snowmobile. I need somebody to work on this. I'll give you this. This needs to happen. Somebody needs to be transported from point A to point B, and on and on and on. So,
that sounds like Swap Shop out of Dewajek, Michigan. Sounds like we have that in Michigan. We call that Swap Shop out of Dewajek. That sounds like Swap Shop out of Dewajek. Which, no offense, there's a radio station in Dewajek called Swap Shop. There's also a radio station in Vandalia, Michigan. There's these little hand radio stations in Vandalia and stuff.
Yeah, this definitely has a different flavor to it.
No mail today.
But at the same time, it does wind up being kind of an interesting look at the cultural differences between Canada and the United States.
Duh.
Rather amusingly, they repeatedly take the opportunity to do the whole disappointed parent finger-wagging thing at Buffalo, New York, and saying you're irresponsible and so on and so forth. All the while giving their little spiel, slowly but distinctly descending into borderline madness themselves.
One witness said thieves ignoring police.
Potato.
Oh my goodness, of all things, warning shots
CJR.
are continuing to raid vehicles abandoned in the snow-clogged roads. Another person said a gang of 50 youths looting stalled tractor-trailer trucks and using sleds and wagons to haul off the goods. Police in Buffalo say scores of businesses, homes, and stalled vehicles. Oh, I don't understand this, John. Were looted during the weekend by thieves taking advantage. We've had incidents of looting around the peninsula. For Pete's sake, stay away from those vehicles. In Buffalo, New York, National Guardsmen, the plea being put out on radio and on television, you are wanted for 5 days of active duty. National Guardsmen listening, you are wanted for 5 days of active duty because of the situation there. Emergency, what kind?
Hello, John. How are you?
Fine.
This is Steve Beer from Stevensville. This has been brought to your attention before. I know you have a lot of American listeners. We are using Channel 4 down here for all kinds of emergencies. Over 50% of the rescue operations going on down here are being done by a CB. Right now, here is a four-wheel drive vehicle with regional police in his car trying to get a lady to the hospital in Fort Erie who apparently is in need of an operation.
Gentleman who called wanting food for that dog in Thunder Bay, please call 894-1459. That was the dog that hadn't been fed in some 2 days. It's apparently loose, and the suggestion was if you're going to feed the dog, kind of go up there and toss it out of the window. Don't get out, because the dog is a little hungry. I still haven't heard whether or not we've got some food out for 3 children and a mother. And let's be blunt about it. The mother and the 3 children, the mother cannot afford to pay for the food. The welfare check has not arrived, and she can't afford to pay for the food, but we can't afford to keep them hungry. Snowbound Howard Fritz of Fort Erie is offering free milk to anyone who can get through. Now, he's only going to have to throw it away. Trucks can't get into his farm to pick it up, so snowmobiles are welcome to pick up the milk. The farm is off Point Abino Road. Now, we know that Crystal Beach has run out of milk. So the snowmobilers in Crystal Beach area, or any place else actually, if you can get to the Howard Fritz farm of Fort Erie, he's going to have to throw his milk away because he can't get anything in there. If you can get there, take that milk to Crystal Beach. That's where we need it. The snowmobilers are starting to break down now, and so are the four-wheel drivers and the snow plows, and these fellows have been putting gasoline in there and making repairs for the last 36 to 48 solid hours. The snowmobiles are starting to break down, and we're getting some money in from people, and we've also got some people saying, where the heck can they get some repairs done? Well, if you're listening, we're going to put these numbers on the line. Mr. Moon of Stevensville needs a drive clutch for an Arctic Cat Panther 399cc, a 1970 model. Where can he locate one? If he can get that drive clutch going, he can get his snowmobile back on the road. Carrie's Welding Service. Now, this place is open free of charge to get those snowplows back on the road. If you have a snowplow that's broken down in Welland, Carrie's Welding Service will do it for you free of charge to get you back out there. Call 384-9037. The wind is starting to hit us again at 50 to 60 miles an hour,
As, was it 50 to 60? Bill, I'm sorry, I made it.
Gusting as high as 50 in some areas, John, bringing the wind chill factor down to 40 to 50.
Oh, that poor ambulance.
50 stuff. Okay, it's still high enough to say that if you allow your child out, you're a little bit irresponsible.
Beaver Dams Road, that's Thorold Niagara Falls town line between Beaver Dam Road and Thoroldstone Road. There are too many cars piling up. Too many cars piling up. I don't understand that situation at all. We've been telling you for the past 73 hours to stay off the road. And there's a few cars that have been absolutely wrecked because they're stuck. The wind comes in, the snow piles over.
7 people have died so far.
The snow piles are going through at about 25 miles an hour to get enough speed up to get through the snow, and they're hitting cars. Boom, boom. That's it. It's an emergency, and there's no sorry, gee whiz, or golly. They're pulling the smashed cars off the side and dumping them.
Please get your cars off the streets. Get your cars off the streets to let the snow fly.
Wow, the snow's with the...
If you do not get those cars off the streets, you may end up in the same situation that everybody else has done and that left their cars abandoned. You may, in the year, you may end up...
Scrape
the nicks along your vehicle. Simmer down, John. The OPP advising Highway 406. Sorry, I lost my hand. Highway 406.
Well, where now the patience is running thin. The patience is running. I'm looking outside studio window here, and I'm seeing cars go back and forth, and you can't then on an emergency. You're back and forth, and if you're listening to me now, you have no idea how angry it's making people just because you've got to go out and do something somewhere. What I don't know what it is, but now the patience is worn thin enough, and in Welland, you are being hauled off the road. That's it. The Army is getting you off and the police are pulling you over. So we've been advising people in situations whereby we get to know there's a shortage to fill up your bathtubs. But some people are still caught without water. And a suggestion here, which has just come into me, was that if you are out of water, remember, you've got 5 gallons of fresh water in your toilet tank. So there's a reservoir you probably didn't even know you had.
To contrast the rather parental Canadian radio coverage, all the TV coverage I have for you here is from the Buffalo, New York side of things. And whereas the Canadians had their own flavor of snark, the folks from Buffalo definitely had theirs. But it's that cultural difference thing again.
Yeah,
whereas
we're
the
more
Canadians
asshole.
were more passive-aggressive. The people in Buffalo were just straight aggressive, especially the people at station WGRZ, which I've since dubbed WGRZ. So anyway, I did find some other footage from New York from this storm, and their approach was decidedly friendlier than either of the other 2 aforementioned stations. So I have included it here just to ease things up a bit. And, okay, you got me, I lied. I only included it because it's WBEN. I mean, I have to acknowledge this station with such awesome call letters.
Your name, Ben.
What are these guys doing on Buffalo City streets?
Wish we didn't have to be.
Well, the plea has been turned into an order. You must stay off city streets. Mayor Murkowski declaring a state of emergency as of 6:30 this morning. Travel restricted to 11 classifications, including fuel supply, health and hospital service, food distribution, and public transportation. Those that violate the order are subject to a fine up to $500 and a jail term up to 90 days. The mayor also placed a call to the White House today, but all he got in return was a call from presidential aide Jack Watson. Watson listened and said to be sure to send the government all the up-to-date information. Maybe we should send them some snow, too.
Opening main arteries, the next priority. The National Guard working today to finish projects in Orchard Park and on Grand Island. Also involved in traffic control, clearing roads to and around 4 city hospitals on the agenda for the Guard shift that begins work at 8 tonight.
That's Army tractor.
Cars abandoned on the thruway were towed into the parking lot of the Hutchinson Hose Company in Amherst. The fire hall served as a refugee center during the height of the storm. Now it's a claim center. Many of the cars brought here show signs of damage from accidents that stalled thruway traffic days ago, or from snowplows that abruptly uncovered the cars during removal operations.
Some town supervisors like Lancaster's Stanley Kaza feel people aren't paying enough attention to their problems. While Buffalo gets visits from the governor, plows, equipment, and manpower from the Army and National Guard, the towns say all they get is snow.
This is Beard Avenue in Buffalo. Not bad, huh? Well, this was plowed by Ken Moore 3 days ago. Now take a look at Beard on the other side of Myrtle Avenue, where the Kenmore plows didn't go. That's the difference.
State equipment attacked the Kensington Expressway today, but even the big rotary and plow ran into problems. A wayward muffler got caught in the works, delaying the cleanup operations until it could be removed.
A muffler, probably the end of the muffler.
Stranded wherever you
Hello?
are, trying to call someone stranded wherever they are. These operators have been stranded here, trying to help you get your call through.
They've had to come over here and work, long hours in order to maintain the record volume of calls, by the way, that we've never witnessed before.
One thing these overworked operators don't need is foolish calls. They tell me people should use their heads. Try to borrow money, walk to the grocery store, ask a neighbor, or go to a local community center for food. Try to solve your own problems. Ralph Treat of 442 Cornwall. Treat arrested on an arson charge last night. Police investigator Jerry McEntee tells News Center his men raided Treat's house this afternoon, recovered about $5,000 in goods looted from abandoned cars and trucks. The haul includes 4 International Harvester chainsaws and a variety of radios, TV sets, and tools.
Water from the fire hoses turned to solid ice, locking the $60,000 engine to the street, which was also a target for vandals.
Yes, it was. It was stripped. The radio was stripped out of there, and as you can see, the bell was taken off of there.
They took the bell off the engine?
Hi. Thank goodness Super Duper stores are open and are doing everything possible to keep supplies rolling into the stores.
National Fuel Gas was out checking thermostats in business places today. They called compliance to the 55-degree setting pathetic. National Fuel Gas sent out about 50 people, supervisors, office people, even one of their tax accountants, to check business places and enforce the 55-degree rule. After a double check, National Fuel Gas has the authority to shut the gas off if thermostats in stores are not set at 55. National Fuel Gas will continue its daily checks.
But today's Groundhog Day, and finally tonight on the later side, we thought we'd check with our groundhog. You've all heard of Punxsutawney Bill? Well, I'd like you to meet Cheektowaga Charlie. Charlie, nice to have you.
How are you, Kevin?
Oh, I'm fine. Go. A lot of people want to know, did you see your shadow or not?
Kevin, I didn't have a chance. It took about 2 national guards and a smoke out just to get me out of this hole. You can see the kind of situation I'm in out here.
Excuse me?
You know, I've been awfully hungry this winter.
Well, I'll bring you a bag of peanuts a little later on. That's it as far as I'm...
You're not going to get to me. I don't feel a problem with it. You're going to be getting a whole career for me.
Mark Russell writes, hang in there, Buffalo. You're a hardy people, and this is your finest hour. You will fight winter in your streets, in your neighborhoods, and in your homes, and you will never surrender. You have taken the jokes and the put-downs about your town with your usual good nature, all the time knowing the weak live elsewhere. Besides, think how you use the occasion years from now when your kids ask, what did you do in the storm, Daddy?
Okay, it's really starting to pick up out there. I really need to get some gas for the snowblower and some better food than last time. I am not about to live on ketchup packets and canned fruit for another 3 days. Excuse me.
Come on, show us your mug, Benny. Okay, that's neat. First Audi archive this year. Won't go. It's called a no-go.
Well, Charlie, I guess we'll just have to keep watching first team weather and find out we're going to get...
You're going to win it, buddy, because I'm going back in this hole and I'm going to stay warm until springtime.
Okay.
OGX formulas soften hair.